Hello and welcome to the Ghost Light Lounge. It's so hard to say that. Disney, man, it keeps screwing me up. Today I have a guest that I worked with, I wouldn't say years, it's just more a gig basis. We've worked on a couple different shows throughout the years. Her name is Bri Pattillo. Did I say it right? I said it right, didn't
No.
I? Oh,
nope.
Dang it. How do you say
Pattillo.
it? Pattillo.
Pattillo.
Pattillo. Pattillo. I'm never going to get it right. So what's great about this, we know each other, but we don't really know each other. And it's been like that. Oh, dear. Oh my gosh, I thought I almost broke my ears. But like I was saying before, we know each other, but we don't really know each other because we've worked on various things together and been in and around LA, but mostly at the Alex Theater. And that's pretty much it. I'm literally, all I know you do is lighting there, and that's it. And I'm always on the monitors or front of house, and it's exciting and not terrifying, but just scary because I'm like, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to give her a bad impression, but we've always gotten along when we worked there, especially because I'm audio and you're lighting, and usually those don't get along. But I want to start off. How are you guys doing?
We're okay. We just moved into a new house in Atwater Village, and we're very close to the Alex. My partner, Rafa, is the production manager at the Alex.
Very cool.
So yeah, we have a cute little new house in Atwater, and it'll be really great once everything is open again.
Yeah. Are you guys keeping busy? Ow.
Nope. I mean, you know, all the theaters are closed. No one can work. The entire point of our job is to bring large groups of people together. So we're just resting right now. And, you know, I read books and play video games and watch a lot of Netflix and walk our dog.
Yeah. That's pretty much seems to be the norm for everyone. I mean, there's nothing much else we can do besides try to put up a production of their own because nobody's paying to do it. I mean, there are very, 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 very few people actually making money in our industry right now. And one of my buddies is doing this. He's doing live streaming for vans. He's got the whole rig, got everything set up. He's a projectionist normally, and I'm hoping to get him on this. We'll probably be a complete train wreck because that's me and him put together is a train wreck. But he's the only one that makes it work and that I've heard of because he's just hustling, and it's insane. So like I said about our history, we worked various shows at the Alex, and I mean, I couldn't name them if I wanted to because I don't remember all of them. But moving on from that, let's go all the way back. Where did you grow up, and where were you originally from?
I'm from Fullerton, Orange County.
Oh, so far away. So far away.
Right next to Disneyland. And I've been living in LA for like the past 10 years after graduating undergrad, and lived in many cities in LA. So I'm really just Orange County, LA.
And where was college?
I went to California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks, and I studied technical theater with my emphasis in scenic and lighting design, and also a degree in religion.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Huh. And funny enough, I'm doing this in Christ Lutheran Church in West Covina. Wow, that's really cool. So what did mom and dad think about the theater aspect of your degree? How did they feel about it?
So I always wanted to do theater since I was 3 years old. I said I wanted to be an actress, and my parents didn't support me in that.
Right.
And but like my grandparents always like had like season tickets and stuff to the theater, so I got to go to it sometimes, and I always loved it, and I wanted to do film acting, and I didn't get involved with theater until high school, and then I never got cast, and I had a really big art background, and so I got into theater on that side and started designing things, and I enjoyed it more than acting. And but I really did through high school and college. I did everything. Like I've done publicity and I stage managed a lot, and I did things. The only thing I've never done, I did like technical direction and stuff. The only thing I've never done is sound. That's like literally the only thing I don't know really anything about.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. Wow. So mom and dad didn't support it, but did they like the religion aspect of it?
My dad did. It's they're I don't know. They wanted me to have like a more practical, field.
Yeah.
They thought that I would never make any money in it, and that was one good thing about switching out of acting into tech was the actual ability to make money doing it and being a technician. But I've always just moved forward with what I want to do, regardless of my parents' approval or support. Right. So, yeah, and shortly after graduating, I was making my living doing technical theater. So it wasn't an unpractical choice at all. I could be kind of like, haha, I showed you.
Yeah.
Shortly after graduating, I became the full-time master electrician at the Alex Theater.
Oh, nice. So immediate satisfaction.
It was like a year or two. My college doesn't have a large network. It's really small. And so I didn't make the right connections there to be able to have enough jobs after I graduated. I worked really hard and did a lot of jobs while I was still in school. I went on tour for 3 weeks while I was in school. But they just didn't have good enough connections. And it was actually meeting Rafa about 10 years ago and us running into each other a couple times in a row that then he's the one who got me my first call at the Alex.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. So what inspired you to get into acting? Was it a specific movie or a show or concert that led you down to lighting?
Okay, so wait, what got me into acting?
Yeah.
Or lighting?
Well,
okay, acting?
Yeah, do acting.
Acting was Gilligan's Island.
Just sit right back in the...
And it's my favorite TV show, and I was walking around at 3 years old saying that I wanted to be a movie star. And that like my whole life I wanted to be Ginger.
That's awesome. And oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Lighting, yeah, the design side, it just came from my art background, and that like once I saw like the set I designed being built, it was so much more rewarding than the meager acting opportunities I was getting.
Right.
And I just love musical theater, and so like I'm always gonna dream that I'm gonna art and some musical in my house but I like the art side is more fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
And also I've been thinking about it lately that like, you know, with acting you have to be so vulnerable, and you're putting like your whole self out there to be judged.
You're the product.
And with the design side, you can put out a part of yourself, but there's all this training that goes into it, and the things that we know that works, and the ways that we know how to judge whether the art is good or not. So there's like a little bit of a buffer, I feel.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
In that judgment.
Yeah, you're in acting and even in performing, you're the product. And if they don't like the product, they don't like you, or at least it feels like they don't like you. You can always manipulate and change your art. You're like, oh, nobody's buying this, but I really love it. I'm going to keep this over here. But here's what you want. That kind of a thing. Does that make more applicable to everything, what you were saying? Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also found that I do prefer to work in collaboration, even though sometimes I don't like people very much. I'm very shy, or in theater, a lot of people have really big personalities. And so we can tend to, grate against one another.
Sure.
But that, as opposed to doing fine art, which I also do some like object making and stuff, that I prefer to work in collaboration, and I prefer to have the script as the jumping off point, and having the fundamental belief that with others we can make a better work.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, because not one person can do set design, lighting design, audio design, or direction of performers. It has to be a collaboration. And that's such a cool and great point. Wow, I don't even know what else to say after that. So, and it's funny because I have questions written out, but you're just going ahead of me, and I'm like, oh, great. Now what am I going to do? So I do have, what is one of the shows you've worked on in your career? Is there any specific show that you've worked on that would be your favorite?
Yes. My favorite design I've ever done was just last fall at LA Mission College in Somar, and I've been designing there. This would have been my third semester designing there, and I may be teaching a lighting class there in the fall if they come back to school.
Yeah.
We did Dead Man's Cell Phone, and my collaborators there, the director, Bob Kakuza, and our scenic designer, everyone, this director brings out the best in me, and I was able to make my favorite lighting design that I've ever done. And then getting to work with the students just adds another great element to the whole experience. And my other favorite show is called Tri-Step Trip, and it's a show that has been in development for 4 years, or this is going to be our 5th year. And we had our world premiere in San Francisco in February.
Oh, very cool.
And we were supposed to be at Red Cat in May.
Oh.
Which has been postponed.
I wonder why.
But this artist, Dalek Brathwaite, he's a spoken word artist and composer, and it's based on his true story and experience of being a Black man in California and being racially profiled, and drug conviction, and going through this court mandated Christian drug rehab program. But he's a spoken word artist, so it's all poetry and rap, and then they extended it to be an ensemble piece and included stepping into it. Oh. So it's all movement, it's all music, it's basically a musical, it's super high octane, it's super poignant and relevant, and it's the most important show I've ever worked on.
Oh wow, that's awesome. It's hard to put an amount or a value to art, especially because, you know, it can speak to so many different people and to so many different ways. But for you to be able to work on a show that had such an effect on you is really incredible, and is why I think a lot of people in our industry do this. We enjoy putting things together, and we enjoy seeing its success. And if you're looking to get into this, people will yell at you. It's just how it is. Directors, producers, choreographers, they will all yell at you. And you have to learn how to roll with the punches and deliver what they are envisioning. And if you're in like a position like you, Bri, were you lighting design on that show?
Yeah.
So you had collaboration, but you had pretty much ultimate control over what lighting design was going on, right?
Yeah, it's not only a super important show, but one of the best experiences I've had of working with director Roberta Uno. And when we started, like, we had no set and no costumes, and it was a workshop for 4 years. And the lighting is the only thing creating a physical world, defining the physical world.
Oh.
And the
so it's
music
very
and the lighting.
Oh.
The music and the lighting, you know, are creating the whole mood. If you perform this piece in underwork light, you know, it would have a totally different effect. And so because the lighting is the only graphic element, I made the lighting very graphic, that there's lots of alleys of light and things like that. And luckily the director was very into it. And so it's a consistent vocabulary we've kept throughout the time, and it's important to the piece.
That's so cool. Are there any clips of that on your website? Or do they have any recorded clips of the show yet?
There are. We have some like little app commercials, teasers, previews that we made for before we premiered in San Francisco. I think we have full recordings of every single time we've done it, right. But as far as, you know, what's really available to be seen right now. And then hopefully, you know, at Red Cat in the fall, and I would encourage everyone to see it. And it's also been really special to be on it since the very beginning, and it's when it was being devised. And I care about the show more, just the show as a whole, than about, I did the lighting design for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think I think your passion for things is what pulls you through when the times get tough and, you know, people start yelling or people are upset.
Yeah. Because I think you understand their viewpoint. You know where they're coming from. You know what you guys are all trying to accomplish, the same end goal. And so that anger, that frustration can be siphoned and filtered and understood rather, that they are trying to put out a product. I'm trying to help them, and I'm trying to create art. Let's do this together. I know you're angry, whatever. You know, there's always a way to get past certain types of frustration and anger, no matter the situation.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to create the best product we can.
Yeah.
And it's important to a lot of people, and so yeah, sometimes you get heightened. But the other reason I want to do theater as opposed to like other art forms, and my specific place in it, I feel, is I really like helping other people tell their stories. Like, I don't feel like I have a personal issue that I'm trying to, put out there, but I really enjoy helping other people to tell their story and help be a witness to that, and help create a platform for that. And I have a lot of privilege being, a white, well-educated, well-off woman in America.
Right.
I feel so blessed in all the times that I've been invited into other people's stories and getting to be a part of that and tell their story that I'm not inherently a part of.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That's profound. You get to help and aid chaos at times, and that's organized chaos is usually what I call theater, is organized chaos. But I love it. Moving on. So that was your favorite show, that show you're working on right now. That is awesome. Hopefully this all ends and we can all go see it, because that sounds incredible. So I was doing some exploring on your website, and I found a clip at the Alex Theater, and it's from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I wish I had a clip of that other show. I don't know if it was on your website. I was trying to find clips while we were getting all set up. But what was it like working with the director of Curb Your Enthusiasm? Oh, sorry, this is so hard. What was it like working with the director of Curb Your Enthusiasm? And was there any challenges that you had either in the theater structurally, or of lighting fixtures available, or did you need more lighting fixtures? Was there anybody like really difficult on this?
Curb Your Enthusiasm was super awesome. So I left my full-time job to go to graduate school, and that opened up a new door for me at the Alex, as instead of being the ME, that I was hired by a number of clients to be their independent lighting designer, and then coming back to the Alex as the client, which is basically what I do now there. So they wanted to shoot a fake musical for the TV show. It's called Fatwa the Musical, and it stars Lin-Manuel Miranda, and that Larry David wrote in the show. And they wanted it to look like Hamilton, and they wanted it to look like a Broadway musical. And their DP, Patrick Stewart, not that Patrick Stewart, a different one, they were concerned that they didn't know how to make it look like a Broadway musical. And so the Alex recommended that they hire me as basically their theatrical lighting designer, as a consultant.
Right.
And so that was my role there. And they wanted a rental package, and I'm like, okay, we got to rent haze. We want something like Vipers. Like, that's what they have, to make it look like the Broadway musical, and then to conform to some of our musical theater tropes, like doing buttons and, and when I was programming with the DP, I'm like, and now we're going to do a button. And he's like, what's a button? And it's like, oh yeah, that'll make it look like being a little more heavy-handed than I would normally be in my own work, to make it read on television. And luckily I got a lot of experience when I was the Emmy at the Alex of working on TV shoots, looking through the camera, seeing what the image looks like, knowing how to the theater to make it look its best, use what we have the best, and doing little things like, if lights are in the background in a shot, just glowing all their faces at like 20% so they all look like they're on, and do a little sparkle and
right.
Little TV tricks. And I also time coded the entire thing so that we could have consistency throughout the shots.
Was it a pre-recorded song? Did they play it through an audio system, closed circuit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the time code was really important.
Yes. So it was cool to work with, they had their first track that was like a basic, now I'm saying sound things, I don't know. They had their basic track that had a click track with it or a time code in it. And I was working with that. And then when Lynn arrived on set, they were going to re-record his part, putting his voice into it.
Oh.
So then I was working with their sound guy to be like, you will not change the timing on this track, right? No matter what you do to this track, you are not going to change how many clicks happen before the song starts. You're not going
to. Oh, man. That's a taste of what Bri is like on stage. Because people change things and everyone, including her, gets frustrated. It's so frustrating when people change things and you're trying to be consistent and deliver a product. But yeah.
Well, it just puts us all behind when you change things.
Yeah, always.
We're all trying to utilize that really expensive time in the theater, as efficiently as possible.
Sure.
And if we can all be on the same page before getting there, then it will go smoothly and faster.
Yeah. I just wanted to share one story that I remember at the Alex, and Rafa will remember this. So we were at the Alex and we were doing this, I think it was an Armenian show, and I don't think you were there. I think somebody else was there at the time, doing the lighting. I can't remember his name. And I was doing front of house. I was doing the sound for it, and they got all the looks ready. They did everything, and we did a mic check, and I literally said on comm, "So when's rehearsal?" That was it. Our mic check is a rehearsal? Are you kidding me? And sure enough, someone did a costume change. I had no idea they did a costume change. Their mic was under their top costume, and I couldn't hear them. And they were like, I can't hear you. And they're like, yeah, I know you can't hear because we didn't have a rehearsal. We didn't know what was going on. And he's like, well, what can you do about it? And I was like, well, I'm really working hard on omnipresence, but it's just not working out for me. Like, I can't be everywhere at once. It's insane. So the ability to run a show, but run it smoothly, is dependent on a lot of factors. And the fact that you were able to do that with a TV show, which they do all the time there. I mean, what other shows have been recorded at the Alex? It was
Bring the Funnies just happened. Their finale, also the finale for RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, cool.
Glee has
I
shot
remember
there. The first thing I did was CSI. The next day we did Germany's Next Top Model.
Oh, wow.
There's really so much.
Yeah, that's almost the bread and butter for that theater is recordings. People come in there and use it as a venue all the time. But
we do a lot of like comedy specials.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many stories and like, celebrity stories. I just did one of those little lists on Facebook where it's like, these are all the celebrities I've met. Guess which one is, a lie? And I have like 20 people that I've lit across my time at the Alex.
Right. That's what was the last one I think we worked on together? Were you on the Geek and Sundry gig?
I did. That wasn't Geek and Sundry. It was they helped produce it, but it was Lost Odyssey.
Lost
it's
Odyssey.
Not Critical Role. that they did a live D&D for Twitch.
Yeah.
And so since we had a new master electrician, very new at the time, Jazzy, the Alex asked me to come in to help consult and to help her with her lighting design and, you know, lighting for TV.
Yeah. It's so difficult. Like, even just if you're just doing streaming, and you have a camera, like I have a Canon 80D, it has terrible features for video, but I have a Blackmagic 4K and amazing features for video and can work off of barely any light. But without using proper lighting and knowing how to apply a wash to a stage, without knowing which fixtures to use, which diffusion, which angles, what lenses. I mean, there's so much involved for television, not just theatrical. But when you combine those two, it's insane. Plus the lights are heavy. So now you got to carry them around and then refocus and move everything around. That's why audio guys are like, nah, I'm going to push faders. These things hurt. These are too heavy. And
then for the television, you have a lot of these cross shots.
Yeah.
And so you're also trying to get cross shots of light that aren't going to go flare in the camera. You know, lighting upstage and downstage of a person's face when what is upstage and downstage or front changes because of the camera.
Sure.
And some of the things I was showing her was like, you need to light the set too, or no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
You know, put a nice little texture on there and put specials on the special elements of the set that they're going to interact with.
Yeah. People often forget that lenses are completely different than our eyeballs. They work in the same concept, but they receive light in a very different way. And our eyes are a lot more sensitive than these lenses. And even if they use $20,000 lenses, you still need to apply light, some sort of light, because light, and that's another thing that's crazy. Waveform, light form. Oh gosh, guys, insane. So much stuff.
The cameras are like more sensitive and less sensitive. They have a really hard time seeing shades of black. Our eyes can see shades of black better.
Right.
The camera judges the difference in light on your face better. That when we're lighting for the theater, I only have to light for what my eye can see.
Sure.
When you're lighting for the camera, you're lighting for that camera, and sometimes you have to bring in a light meter because a very difference in intensity can make a lot of difference for the camera's eye.
Sure, absolutely.
Whereas in real life, we're not seeing any difference.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, like, when you're watching live television, there is a technician called, they call it a shader, and they're literally operating cameras. There's multiple, like, joysticks, and they're operating iris in real time, and it's very sensitive, and it's kind of stressful because you have to be very gentle with it, because you can overdo it and it blows out the image, and you underdo it and it makes it really dark. And there's just a lot involved with it, and you have to really be in good communication with your lighting person, because if they all of a sudden change intensities on one of their cues, it throws off image completely. And even the shader is going to be like, I can't do anything with this. We have to go back to what it was, and that's a whole thing. But all that to say, I did find a clip of. Actually, I didn't find it. It's on your website, so I found that clip, and I would like to show it. It's pretty funny, and hopefully it records and it comes through great. So let's watch. Your mic should be on too during this whole thing.
Here I am hiding out now in a hole. Barely eating, barely sleeping, this shit's taking its toll. Fuck writing, I got bigger fish to fry now. I know I'll die now. I need a plan, I do not like this man.
Tarnishing the scripture, how he mocks me. All this blasphemy and vanity, carnality exhausts me. It'll cost me my respect in Iran. And so it's time for him to die. I do not like this man.
Come on, don't be silly. It was just a book.
No book. Weak now. Can't let him off the hook.
What a coward! God knows that I do not like this man. What am I gonna do? His death sentence is the worst friggin' book
picture. Talk trash about scripture, not a pretty picture.
All I wanted was to win the book of prize, guys. Not have them slit my throat and gouge out my eyes, my mind.
I can't allow this desecration, this irritation, indignation, not while I lead this nation. It's official. Don't try to call a bluff.
Death threats as if
Writing's not hard enough.
heathen, tyrant, traitor, violent.
God knows that I do not like this man.
Haven't you caught him yet?
Stop asking me already. I'm trying.
Please just express regret.
Oh yeah, like I haven't thought of that. Come on!
Just go cut off his head. Just hide under the bed.
I do not like this.
He doesn't like this.
I cannot like this.
He'll never like this.
I do not like this man.
Enemies forever.
Enemies forever. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
The director for the musical was Susan Stroman, who's a Tony Award-winning choreographer. And then that was cool to get to work with her as well. And she said that there had to be more light.
So of
'cause,
course,
like, I would do it differently for a theater piece,
right?
you know. But she wanted to see her dancers,
Yeah.
and she can have what she wants.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be because not only did you have to light the stage and light it for television, you also had to light the place that's not meant to have light, the audience. Was that difficult?
No, it's pretty standard, sort of what we would do at the theater, and that's where the DP takes over a little bit more, although I was trying to anticipate his needs and really be the liaison between him and the master electrician and try to prep things that I know he's going to want before that he asks for them.
Yeah.
So we light that area a lot there. And then I don't remember if it was in this clip or the other one. I was sitting at the tech table with my laptop running ETC Nomad, looking at the light board, and one of the TV people came up and they're like, "What is this? Can you send me a picture of this?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I took a screenshot of my laptop, and then they put a Mac out there with the picture out on the tech table to, you know, make it look realistic.
Oh, of course. Oh, it would be even better if they just taped it, like printed it out and taped it on the Mac.
They put we had like an extra sound, I think our old monitor console, that we keep in the pit, we brought that out and set it on the tech table. Like, it's a console.
Oh. Oh, man.
And also watching the clip, I remember that I was calling the follow spot for all the takes.
Oh. How many takes were there? If you can remember.
A good amount, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Small to medium.
You're working with, that was a ton of professionals in that shot. That was a lot of professionals. It
was really cool. Working with so many different people on that production, the director of the episode himself, me primarily working with the DP, Larry David, and I can't remember his other name, his like co-star.
He's on the Goldbergs, and I love him.
He kept talking to my intern, who was like a high school girl, and he's like, "Georgia, hey Georgia," and just like playing around with us, and she's like, "Why?" She's blushing because he keeps talking to her every time he sees her. And then we had the composer was the composer for La La Land.
Oh, very cool. Wow.
And we had Susan Stroman, and we also had Richard Sherman, who was the composer for Mary Poppins.
I was going to say, the Sherman brother, Richard Sherman?
Yes.
Wow.
He was with us as well because Lynn had been shooting Mary Poppins Returns in London and writing the music for it with him.
Wow.
And so when Lynn came to shoot this, he brought Richard Sherman and his wife with them.
I think they live in LA.
Right, but they had been in London
Right.
on set for,
Oh, that's so insane. Quick sidebar. When this first started, one of my performer friends from Disney, she doesn't perform there anymore. She is a friend of this piano player. And we were all on this Zoom call, and we were doing musical theater numbers and singing and talking and just getting really well acquainted, kind of like right now. And the piano player goes like this and answers his phone or calls somebody on his phone. And we're like, who's he talking to? And he puts it down and he goes, I'm talking to Richard Sherman's wife right now. And then he picks it back up and he blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what?
Why did he call them?
Just to see how they were doing, because the pandemic had just started, and we wanted to, Richard Sherman's is like in his, late 80s, early 90s. He's up there. And so they had, my friend Carly has worked with him before, and she was concerned. She wanted to know, but the piano player, the accompanist, knew him really well. So that was how it happened. And I was like, that is the most random thing to ever happen on a Zoom call. It was so random. But that was really cool. That I'm so glad you posted that. That way I could find it and I could add it. So that worked out really well. So this next question I have for you is it's not going to be offensive. I know it's not. It's going to take things to a serious note, though, because it's something that happens, and I don't know how much you've experienced it, and I don't know how much you've witnessed it. So as a woman in a male-driven or a misogynic-driven industry, what were some of the challenges you faced first entering the industry?
It's definitely really hard. It is a male-dominated industry.
Right.
And for lighting design, only 10% of lighting designers are women in the U.S.
Wow.
Just starting off as a technician, I grew up being a tomboy, being in scouts, and just kind of being a badass and pretty fearless and very hands-on. And so I was always jumping to do things. Like at 16, I could take down the biggest ladder, carry it across the stage, and put it back up by myself. And like run up that ladder. That I wasn't afraid of things or hard work.
Yeah.
And so I was just always jumping to do things. And I feel now, our CEO at the Alex actually asked me to speak at a girls' day camp to talk about being a woman in the industry. And what I feel now, the best advice I could give is like arming yourself with knowledge, because no one can argue with you when you know your stuff. Like at the end of the day.
Is that what it took
when you can
for people to stop or to not necessarily respect you, but give you respect that you deserved because you put all the work in? Was that what it took? Is just, here, I'm going to prove it to you why you're wrong. Here's the knowledge.
I guess so. Yeah. I come in pretty strongly. I take my work very seriously, even when it's like a kid's one day thing. I come in that it's professional and very high standards, and I'm not in to joke around with people. It's like I want to complete our work in a timely fashion. I want it the way that I asked. And when, and then demonstrating that I know what I'm talking about, that it's not just, oh, look, when we did it my way, it went right, didn't it?
Right.
So yeah, I'm not going to be intimidated off the bat. And then it's that knowledge that really is the ultimate shield, because some women try to like overcompensate and come in and can be kind of taken as a bitch because they're like overcompensating for trying to be really strong. And you don't need to overact that way when at the end of the day, like, your knowledge is right.
Right. That's wow. So kind of tying into that, so have things changed, or have you changed since you first started? And is that because people got to know your work and obviously your knowledge, or was that due to people's shift in the way of thinking, or was it all just because of your knowledge base and you proved them?
I think it's both. Like, what's changed for me is just like personally growing, because when I left undergrad, being a young person, I was very sure of myself and like thinking that I knew everything, like most young people do. And I was also very thin-skinned. And when people would yell and get upset, I did not take it well. And you really do have to have a thick skin and have some armor in this industry. And so what's changed is that I don't take things so personally anymore. I have a much thicker skin, and that's just growing up and experience and what every human would hopefully go through. And also having more confidence in myself, a confidence that is earned and not, just that, I'm young and so I think I know everything.
Right.
Because I just graduated.
Yeah, I just graduated. I know everything, Mom. Man, I did that so much.
And there's a lot more young women in this field now, in this industry now. When I was at the Alex, I started a technical theater internship program that was like first for high school students. Now we take all students. And really it's changed now, but mostly the only people who completed our program were all women. Wow. And originally most of the men who were in it, the young men in high school, all like dropped. They didn't complete the program. So we've had many successful young women now go through the program, then go to university, and continue in this and show their resiliency.
Well, that's kind of impressive. And guys, you suck. Finish it, for crying out loud. It's just a little bit of work. And you get to see cool shows. Come on. Oh, yeah. But that's incredible. I mean, you keep answering all of my questions already. My next one was, how has that shaped you as an individual? Well, that'll still apply. So how do you feel that has shaped you, all of these experiences? Do you feel like you're better off? Do you still feel like you have more room to grow? Do you feel there's hope for the way theater's moving in the future?
Definitely all of those things. I mean, I want to continue to help other young women to come into this field and succeed in this field. And I do think when this event is over, that theater is going to be different, but it's definitely still going to survive. And just like in our normal lives, where we're trying to determine what things do we want to go back to and what things do we no longer want to have in our lives, we can say that in theater too. And we can say, let's make this a more inclusive environment. And that's like on the technician level of like people not being sexist and being kind to one another. And that's on the administrative level of, let's not keep hiring every single white cis male designer we know, and try to let someone else's voice be heard, because if those theaters don't give those people a chance, then they might not have that chance to be heard at that level.
Sure.
If no one makes space for them. And I want to help make space for other people.
Wow. Well, that was deep and poignant. So now I'm going to take it to a lighter side. We're coming near to the end of it. I have some rapid fire questions. I'm going to try to do these at the end of every single video, just because they're fun and I want to do them. So, what?
Can I bring in one thing? Because I saw your earlier little podcast. So I also work at Six Flags.
Oh, did you really?
But no, but I'm an associate lighting designer for Fright Fest and Holiday in the Park for the last 3 years now.
Oh.
And we are an outside, like a third party contractor that is Meerkat, and Zach Moore is the lead designer. And so Zach designs the lighting for the events and for like Full Throttle stage in the park, and for the steampunk stage for like Quirk. And so this has changed since your friend was at Six Flags, and being a technician and stuff. Although their technicians are still this revolving door and stuff. So I go in and I focus all the lights utilizing their technicians.
Yeah.
And which is it's very interesting experience, because I'll be like, pull the shutter, and they'll be like, what's the shutter? And it's like union, so I'm not supposed to like go on this ladder and show them and touch things. And so explaining to someone who doesn't know, because I'm a third party contractor.
And I gotcha. Because I was like, I don't think they're
like
union.
I'm not allowed to. No, they've talked about it, but just for our rules in the park, like I can't ride in any of their vehicles out to the different areas, and it's a huge park, so I actually get to drive my own vehicle
that's
across
perfect.
the park and like under the roller coasters and stuff. But trying to explain to someone who doesn't even know what a light is, like what all the parts of a light is, and then trying to get them to focus it for you.
Yeah. See, that's what's crazy about this industry is, while she was telling that whole story that I was listening to, I remember looking at her Facebook profile and looking our mutual friends, and I was like, she doesn't know anybody I know. She knows 1, 2, 3 people that work at Disney with me, because she's worked with all of them. You've worked with all of them. Josh Barrett, Mike Evans, and Joel Kopczynski.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot more, because like Nick Van Houten, I met him at the Alex. He's in charge of like all the lighting for the Disney parks.
Yeah, he's one of them. Yeah, there's many of those lighting designers. I think it's Casey Wilkerson. When I post this, I guarantee you all of the lighting people that I know will tell me and correct me immediately. It won't matter. But it was funny though. We have a really small industry in LA, and all these Cal connections, Disney connections, and just LA itself. Yeah, it's insane how many. That was my point. Is just the connections are always there. You're always going to find somebody that's worked with somebody that you know. Especially at Disney, there's 400 plus technicians. And
that's why you should be nice to everyone.
Yep. You got to be really careful who you start yelling at.
Who is who, and you don't know who is a celebrity or, runs this TV show or...
You don't know who's moving up. You don't know who, like, there's been texts that I've talked to, and I'm like, dude, you're a moron. I do not like you. I just can't stand working with you. And then that guy is a technical director, and I'm like, I'm never working on one of your gigs. It's never going to happen. So
hopefully, you know, the people who are nice and knowledgeable are the ones who get ahead.
Yeah, and that's always the hope and the dream, and it's just to see people that work hard and do well and are knowledgeable, they accelerate. Their career just takes off, and it's always inspiring to see that when it happens. All right, now to my rapid fire. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Yes. Biggest pet peeve?
Mean people.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Mint chocolate chip.
That's a good one. Favorite band?
The Who.
Oh, that's a good band. Gig or show you've always wanted to work?
Oh, probably for like a big musician like The Who would be a dream of mine, even though I don't do concert fighting really.
Yeah.
Not my jam.
I mean, it's just, what is it called? Oh, splash and trash. That's all it is.
That's not me. That's not my aesthetic.
I've seen a lot of guys use time code because there's a lot of effects, especially some of these bigger bands. It's insane. Sorry, going back. What are you looking forward to most after this is all done, this whole pandemic thing?
I really want to go back to work.
Yeah.
I really want to work on shows again and see those people again and get to share our stories with people again, especially those ones that got cut off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the hope for everybody right now, I think. And finally, not a rapid fire question, but just to kind of bookend this whole interview is, what advice would you give anyone looking to get into this industry?
I guess talk to a lot of people, because when you don't know stuff, you really, it's good to find a mentor, even if that person is your peer, and someone that you can ask questions of, like when you're on a job and you don't know how to do something and you need to pull someone aside and, you know, ask them so that you can know, and hopefully to ask those questions, because we always want to be safe, but people sometimes are afraid, especially then women, to maybe even so, probably more so men, to show that they don't know how to do something, and then they don't want to ask a question.
Yep.
But, you know, safety at the end of the day is one of the most important things in what we do, and we work in a lot of potentially dangerous areas.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, just even having that friend that you can ask questions of. And like, I think of like the second time I met Rafa, and he was teaching me how to gas tape down some cable really well. Yeah.
Have that mentor. Try to find that mentor.
People are a really great resource, but you can also do a lot for yourself of like reading books and things, because when I was in undergrad, I had very few resources and very few good mentors at my undergrad.
Right.
And so I just went out and like found that information myself. And the mentor I had, he said, like, forget school, work professionally. This is where you're going to learn the most and
Right.
get something really valuable. And so I did finish my undergrad, but I also was working professionally.
Nice.
And
Well,
then now what kind of changed for me was that then I chose to go back to graduate school, and I went to CalArts to get a bigger network,
Yeah.
since that's what my undergrad didn't have. And so yeah, that network is also one of the most important things, because it really is like who you know, not what you know. Like, you need to know people to open the doors.
Right.
So meeting people and being nice.
Yeah. I would also add to it's not who you know, it's what you know, but it's also, well, how you know what you do know. Because if you show up to a gig and you don't know how to plug in cam, you're going to have a bad day. So,
and then you better tell someone that you don't know
right,
how.
Right.
Before you
Safety.
do it.
Well, Bri, this was a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough for being on my little show.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. We never get a spotlight, and that's kind of on purpose, because we chose the career we chose behind the spotlight. That's another good name for the show, but we're not going to do that. No. But again, thank you for being on here, and you're like number 2, but you're the only non-Disney person so far, and I'm kind of really stoked about that, because we had to have some really cool conversations about art, about theater, and I got to see some of your work, and it was super cool. And hopefully we can work together soon-ish. Maybe not at the Alex, maybe at other places. Who knows? But
maybe at Disney.
Maybe. No, girl, you got to change your hair, and you know you're not going to change your hair. I mean, underneath her profile, it says badass hair. I mean, come on. So thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.